And we begin this afternoon with a developing story out of Northern California. That's where a magnitude 6.0 earthquake shook people early this morning, and now cleanup is underway for many residents.
San Francisco's restless ground has once again reminded residents of the ever-present power beneath their feet. The Bay Area, straddling the mighty transform boundary between the Pacific and North American tectonic plates, experiences constant tectonic stress that releases energy through frequent seismic slips. Beneath the region lies a network of faults, the San Andreas to the west, the Hayward-Rogers Creek system running beneath the East Bay, and the Calaveras to the south, all of which interact in complex ways, slowly grinding past one another at an average rate of a few centimeters per year. Modern studies utilizing LiDAR and seismic mapping have illuminated surface lineaments and hidden fault strands, revealing how distributed deformation has shaped the Bay Area landscape over millennia. These faults not only define where earthquakes occur, but also influence urban planning, infrastructure resilience, and public safety strategies adopted by the city. Before we start, smash the like and subscribe buttons for more updates. In the first 2 weeks of July 2025, a slew of minor tremors and low-magnitude quakes rattled the fringes of San Francisco and its northern neighbors. According to the Southern California Earthquake Data Center's specialized San Francisco map, more than a dozen earthquakes ranging from magnitude 0.2 to 1.5 were recorded between July 5th and July 12th, centered largely around the geothermal fields of the geysers and the outskirts of Peninsula. These microquakes occurred at depths as shallow as 2 miles, occasionally clustering in small swarms where seismic activity briefly spiked to several events per minute. Though imperceptible to most Bay Area residents, these tremors underscore a persistent subterranean restlessness that scientists continue to monitor closely. On the evening of June 8th, a more pronounced event captured widespread attention. A preliminary magnitude 3.4 quake struck just off the coast of Peninsula at 9:30 p.m., according to the United States Geological Survey. With a focal depth of roughly 5.8 miles, this shallow temblor produced light to moderate shaking felt across Vallejo, Berkeley, Richmond, Oakland, and San Francisco itself. Despite its modest strength relative to the region's worst potential, the jolt was loud enough to awaken sleeping residents, rattle windows, and prompt a flurry of "Did you feel it?" reports submitted to the USGS online portal. No damage or injuries were reported, but the event served as a timely reminder of the Bay Area's seismic vulnerability. Eyewitness accounts paint a vivid picture of that night's rumble. In San Francisco's Richmond district, residents described a sudden sway that lasted mere seconds yet felt unnervingly long. Social media lit up with posts about dishes clattering from shelves, pictures shifting on walls, and dogs barking in panic. Commuters aboard late-night BART trains felt carriages shudder, triggering brief train delays until operations resumed post-inspection. In Peninsula, the epicentral community, the shock registered as a distinct thump, causing local news outlets to dispatch reporters to interview startled homeowners. Social resilience networks sprang into action, sharing aftershock safety tips and encouraging neighbors to check gas lines and emergency kits. While the June 8th quake captured headlines, the quieter series of microquakes around the Geysers energy field in Sonoma County tells another subterranean tale. The geothermal reservoir, one of the world's largest, naturally induces seismicity as superheated steam is injected and extracted during power generation. On July 5th and 8th, dozens of tiny tremors, mostly below magnitude 1.0, punctuated this industrial landscape. Scientists note that such induced seismicity is typically low in magnitude and poses little threat to populated zones. But continuous monitoring is essential to distinguish natural fault slips from human-triggered events. Officials at Calpine, the field's operator, collaborate with the USGS to fine-tune fluid injection protocols, aiming to minimize seismic risk while harnessing renewable energy. Beyond the geysers, attention has turned to the Hayward and Calaveras faults, which thread beneath Contra Costa and Alameda counties before rejoining strands near Hollister in the south. Recent geodetic surveys indicate slight increases in strain accumulation on the Hayward Fault Zone, raising concerns among experts that this creeping segment may be primed for a moderate rupture in the coming decades. In contrast, the San Andreas Fault beneath the Pacific Ocean remains largely locked, storing energy that could unleash a devastating magnitude 7.0 or greater quake. While no immediate indicators of imminent rupture have emerged, the recent uptick in minor seismicity reminds scientists that stress transfer between faults can be subtle and insidious. To keep pace with this ever-shifting environment, a dense web of seismometers, GPS stations, and INSAR interferometric synthetic aperture radar satellites continuously captures the Bay Area's ground motions. The Earthquake Science Center and regional partners process real-time feeds to detect quakes within seconds, enabling rapid public notification and automated safety protocols. This sprawling network logged over 30 magnitude 2.5 plus events during the past day alone, positioning the Bay Area among the most closely instrumented seismic zones globally. Data streamed from these instruments not only fuels immediate alerts but also informs long-term models that predict how rupture might propagate along interconnected fault systems. Public safety agencies have integrated these monitoring advances into the Shake Alert Earthquake Early Warning System, a collaboration led by the USGS alongside state and academic partners. When a quake begins, Shake Alert algorithms identify the earlier, gentler P waves and estimate the impending strength of the ensuing S waves, broadcasting alerts seconds before strong shaking arrives. The system now serves over 50 million people across California, Oregon, and Washington, delivering critical lead times that can trigger automated train brakes, shut industrial valves, and cue individuals to drop, cover, and hold on. Recent updates have refined alert thresholds and distribution channels, enhancing both accuracy and public adoption. Citizens can receive these warnings through multiple platforms. The MyShake mobile app developed by UC Berkeley, Android's built-in earthquake alerts feature, and CA.gov's official alert system. MyShake not only delivers alerts but also crowdsources ground motion data from volunteer smartphones, enriching the seismic network's resolution. On average, over 500,000 Californians have downloaded MyShake, contributing to a citizen science initiative that turns personal devices into seismic nodes. Android users benefit from automatic notifications for magnitude 4.5 plus quakes, while iPhone users rely on MyShake or California's wireless emergency alerts. Emergency managers and first responders leverage institutional integrations to coordinate search and rescue, inspect infrastructure, and deploy aid with unprecedented speed. Institutional adoption of Shake Alert continues to expand. Bay Area Rapid Transit BART pioneered automatic train braking in 2012, halting trains milliseconds before quakes rattled the tracks. Similarly, the Port of Oakland integrates alerts to secure cargo operations, while major utilities temporarily shut off gas lines in anticipation of shaking. Hospitals and schools conduct regular drills using Shake Alert test messages, embedding earthquake readiness into daily routines. The system's growing footprint demonstrates how technological innovation, policy support, and public engagement converge to mitigate seismic risk in one of the world's most earthquake-prone regions. Despite these technological strides, San Francisco's built environment faces ongoing challenges. A recent seismic hazard ratings report identified at least 24 city-owned structures, ranging from fire stations and homeless shelters to the Hall of Justice, as highly vulnerable in a major quake, with 26 more buildings posing significant life hazards. While the city has invested over $20 billion since 1990 in retrofits, only one-third of municipal buildings have completed full HR assessments due to cost and labor constraints. The next $350 million bond measure, slated for 2028, aims to fund priority upgrades. Yet experts caution that even retrofitted buildings cannot be rendered truly earthquake-proof. Robust seismic safety demands sustain political will, community advocacy, and innovative engineering solutions. Communities throughout the Bay Area have ramped up preparedness efforts in response. Neighborhood preparedness groups distribute emergency kit checklists, offer CPR and search and rescue training, and organize shakeout drills each October, simulating large magnitude scenarios. Schools conduct monthly drop cover drills, while workplaces integrate quake response protocols into continuity plans. Awareness campaigns leverage social media influencers and local artists to spread the drop cover hold on message, aiming to reach vulnerable populations, including seniors and non-English speakers. These grassroots initiatives complement governmental programs, fostering a culture of shared responsibility and resilience. Seismologists continue to refine forecasts using probabilistic models that estimate the likelihood of various quake magnitudes over the next 30 years. The Uniform California Earthquake Rupture Forecast, UCRF3, currently places a 72% chance of a magnitude 6.7 or greater on the Hayward Fault, and a 51% chance on the Rogers Creek Strand during this period. Meanwhile, crustal stress transfer from neighboring faults could affect timing and size of ruptures, though precise triggering mechanisms remain elusive. Advances in machine learning are enabling researchers to detect subtle precursory signals buried in background noise, offering the tantalizing prospect of more nuanced short-term warnings in the future. The social and economic stakes are enormous. A major Bay Area earthquake could produce trillions in property damage, disrupt global tech supply chains, and strain regional lifelines. Modeling by the Federal Emergency Management Agency suggests that rapid, coordinated responses enabled by early warnings could save thousands of lives and billions of dollars in losses. Critical infrastructure, bridges, ports, power grids, receives heightened scrutiny, with seismic retrofits prioritized for lifeline routes. Yet, disparities persist. Low-income neighborhoods often have aging housing stock and limited access to preparedness resources, highlighting an equity challenge in resilience planning. Bridging this gap requires targeted outreach, subsidized retrofit programs, and partnerships with community leaders. As San Francisco continues its dance with the Earth's restless plates, vigilance remains paramount. The week's small quakes, though harmless in isolation, form threads in a larger tapestry of seismic risk that weaves through every valley, fault, and city block. Advances in monitoring, early warning, and structural engineering offer powerful tools to reduce harm, yet their full potential depends on widespread adoption and sustained investment. Citizens can bolster their personal safety by assembling emergency kits, retrofitting homes, and staying informed. At the same time, policymakers must navigate budget constraints, prioritize equity, and embrace innovative research to keep pace with nature's unpredictability. Looking ahead, the Bay Area's resilience will hinge on adaptive strategies that blend cutting-edge science with community engagement. Continued expansion of ground motion sensors, integration of smartphone data, and refinement of predictive models promise to sharpen our response capabilities. Yet even the most sophisticated systems cannot prevent earthquakes. They can only tip the balance in favor of safety. By embedding a culture of preparedness into every neighborhood, workplace, and school, San Francisco can transform seismic hazard from a looming threat into a manageable part of civic life. In this way, the region honors its historic spirit of innovation, turning rumbling faults into catalysts for collaboration, research, and unwavering readiness. Beneath the veneer of urban bustle, San Francisco's complex subsurface geology tells a tale of relentless transformation. Deep below the surface, ancient crystalline rocks meet sedimentary basins that have filled with sands and silts washed down from Sierra streams during successive ice ages. When tremors travel through these contrasting materials, seismic waves can amplify, turning barely perceptible jolts into unsettling shakes in neighborhoods built atop landfill and bay mud. This phenomenon, known as site amplification, helps explain why districts like the Marina and Sunset often report more intense reverberations than sturdier bedrock zones. Urban geologists continue to map these variations in 3 dimensions, combining borehole data with ambient noise recordings to create high-resolution models. The insights are already informing targeted retrofit strategies. By identifying pockets of weak ground, engineers can design foundation enhancements, such as deep piling or ground improvement, that mitigate amplification and protect vulnerable structures from disproportionate damage. The psychological echoes of repeated tremors are every bit as tangible as the physical ones. Even when a quake measures below the threshold of human perception, the collective awareness that the ground may shift at any moment weighs on residents' minds. Mental health professionals note a subtle rise in anxiety-related consultations following clusters of small quakes, with clients describing difficulty sleeping, persistent vigilance for aftershocks, and a generalized sense of unease. Community centers and local nonprofits have responded by hosting resilience circles, gatherings where neighbors share their experiences, discuss coping strategies, and learn stress reduction techniques. Such forums not only help individuals process their emotions, but also strengthen social bonds, a critical component of disaster recovery. By weaving mental wellness into the broader framework of seismic preparedness, the Bay Area is pioneering a holistic approach that acknowledges the mind as a vital stake in the game of resilience. The economic underpinnings of quake readiness extend far beyond the immediate cost of structural retrofit. Insurance markets in California have undergone significant recalibration since the Loma Prieta and Northridge events, as carriers grapple with the statistical uncertainty of fault behavior. In recent years, some insurers have begun offering premium discounts for homes equipped with modern seismic dampers or base isolation systems. These devices, which absorb and dissipate ground motion before it reaches the superstructure, can be retrofitted into existing buildings at a fraction of the cost of full-scale retrofit. Yet uptake remains uneven, often correlating with household income and access to financing. Local governments have experimented with low-interest loan programs and targeted grants aimed at middle and lower-income homeowners seeking to bridge the affordability gap. By aligning financial incentives with public safety objectives, policymakers hope to spur wider adoption of sophisticated mitigation technologies. Education, and early education in particular, plays an understated role in embedding seismic awareness into the community fabric. In preschools and elementary schools across the city, teachers integrate quake literacy into science curricula, encouraging children to construct simple seismographs from household materials, interpret fault maps, and enact earthquake drills with theatrical flair. These activities do more than impart knowledge. They normalize preparedness behaviors, so that children internalize the instinct to drop, cover, and hold on as second nature. Family homework assignments often involve coordinating a household emergency plan, reviewing the contents of disaster kits, and mapping escape routes from bedrooms. By engaging the youngest generation, educators sow the seeds of a culture where readiness is routine rather than reactionary, ensuring that future cohorts inherit both the skills and the mindset necessary to live safely in an ever-quaking landscape. Mass transit systems, the veins that pulse with commuters and tourists alike, face unique challenges in a seismic metropolis. While BART's pioneering automatic braking system draws headlines, lesser-known components of transit resilience operate behind the scenes. Tunnel segments bored through varying rock types employ custom-engineered flexible joints that can withstand significant displacement without compromise. On elevated tracks, seismic dampers are tuned to local vibration frequencies to avoid amplification that could impair ride quality under normal conditions. In addition, control centers employ advanced algorithms to continuously assess track integrity, flagging anomalies in rail alignment or structural sensors that may indicate damage. Such real-time monitoring, coupled with rigorous emergency response protocols, ensures that public transportation remains both a lifeline in daily life and a reliable conduit for evacuation in the aftermath of a larger event. Beyond physical infrastructure and individual preparedness lies a tapestry of cultural expression that channels seismic events into creative outlets. Local artists have long memorialized earthquakes in murals, installations, and public performances, each piece capturing a facet of the collective experience. In recent months, the Aftershock Lab exhibit at a downtown gallery invited visitors to interact with kinetic sculptures that mimic fault movement, while a community theater troupe staged a site-specific production in an old warehouse, weaving personal narratives of quake survival into a dramatic tableau. These artistic endeavors serve as communal rituals, transforming anxiety into empathy and forging shared narratives that transcend technical data. By giving form to the emotional undercurrents of seismic living, the arts help humanize risk and foster a sense of unity that complements engineering solutions. The restaurant industry, too, has acclimated to the seismic context. Kitchens in earthquake-prone regions must adhere to stringent anchoring regulations. Heavy ovens, refrigerators, and storage racks are bolted to walls or equipped with automatic shutoff valves that activate under strong shaking. Chefs stock emergency food supplies, dried grains, canned proteins, and bottled water to sustain staff and patrons if a major quake disrupts supply chains. Some eateries even include quake menus featuring dishes that can be prepared with minimal gas or electricity, a nod to both practicality and solidarity with emergency responders. Culinary schools in the Bay Area incorporate disaster readiness into their hospitality curricula, recognizing that diners' safety hinges on both structural measures and well-rehearsed contingency plans in the heart of the kitchen. On the technological frontier, researchers are exploring the potential of machine learning to parse subtle foreshock sequences that traditionally blend into seismic noise. By training neural networks on high-resolution waveform datasets, scientists aim to improve discrimination between benign microseismic events and those that presage larger ruptures. Early trials have yielded models that can detect minor precursors slightly more accurately than manual analysis, though the false alarm rate remains a hurdle. To bolster confidence, teams are integrating multi-parameter observations, combining seismic, geochemical, and electromagnetic signals to triangulate multiple lines of evidence. While a foolproof short-term earthquake prediction remains elusive, these efforts illustrate a paradigm shift, moving from reactive monitoring toward proactive forecasting, even if only by minutes or hours. If you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Also, leave your comments below and tell us, what are your thoughts on why San Francisco earthquakes are happening recently? We want to hear from you. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.